Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So we're back for another recording session, going live again actually with Terry Folks, and I'm I'm going to hand it off to Terry here right away, but we're going to follow up a little bit on what we covered on the previous video. We're really happy that people have joined us today, and that we're going to share some more awesome information from Terry. So Terry, would you like to just give a just a bit of a intro for yourself, and maybe just do a little bit of a recap, if you like, on what we covered last time.
Sure.
How's
Thanks
that
for
sound?
having me, Ross.
Oh, so welcome.
So, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm deeply aware of my privilege, which is why I'm grateful to live and work and play on the unceded lands of the Comox First Nation. And we'll start with that. Um, and a review
Thank
of
you.
what we did in our first podcast, which was really fun. It was weird to talk so much when I spend most of my days listening, but I think it's helpful and useful to listeners to review that the two Greek words psyche, which means soul or breath of life, and therapeia, which means servant or attendant to the soul, together makes the psychotherapist a servant or attendant of the soul. So I'd like to review that because it's important to understand that as your sacred escort, I take this conversation. um, it's a spiritual conversation. It's elevated to the sacred. So I honor you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, and I think we talked a little bit about what my approach means in terms of holistic, feminist, intuitive, and inclusive. And I'm not sure that we covered all four of those kind of approaches, general umbrella approaches. I talked a little bit about being a feminist, that which is all about empowering the individual who I'm serving, whether they're male or female, doesn't make any difference. It's all about empowerment. I am concerned with the healing of women and girls because we live in a patriarchy, so there's injustice that crosses my path every day. So of course I lean into that empowerment of women and girls. But we're all hurt by an unjust society, women and men and children. I talked a little bit about being holistic, which just means that I consider your physical, your emotional, your intellectual, and your spiritual resources when I'm working with you. So holistic just means the whole person. And integrated means, even though we break them up into those four domains, we're actually integrated beings. So I take all of that into consideration when I'm serving you and helping you to heal. I talked a little bit about intuitive, which really just means that I combine my life experience, my training, my spiritual experiences globally with my six senses in my service. So everyone's familiar with bringing in data from the sense of smell and what you see and hear and taste and touch, but they might not be as familiar with how to synthesize all of that in the third eye as your sixth sense. So a lot of my work is highly intuitive, and I have a gift, and I'm very grateful for that gift. And finally, inclusive just means that I understand that ignorance and fear of differences really hurt people. So I do work with uh, what are considered heterosexual individuals, and I'm also completely at ease working with individuals in the LGBTQ community. So, and spiritually integrated, I think the review there really just means that I'm integrating, I'm inviting you to integrate your own spirituality in your healing process. So, that probably leads us to today's topics around spirituality and religion and what that's all
It
about.
does.
Yeah.
It does. It does. And thank you for yeah, recapping all of that. And so well, let's speak a little about this. It's fascinating how you frame these these different pieces and explain it. So yeah, the differences between spirituality and religion, and give us a little bit more on that then, Terry.
So I think when I put this question out to individuals at the beginning of our work together, I just want to get a sense of what assumptions or presumptions people have about religion and spirituality. So this question is really important one because each individual is responsible for creating their own cosmology, their own theology. And I say theology as opposed to theology because theology is a feminist approach to understanding cosmology. It's a set of beliefs, core values, what we believe about the afterlife, how we feel we're guided on it on a daily basis. So spirituality is often considered quite different from religion. Religion, in my training and my conversations with people, seems to be about um, being in community with like minded believers who hold to the same truth. And those truths are written somewhere, either as scripture or dogma, and everyone in the building believes the same thing. In spirituality, uh, what has become clear to me over the decades is that it's more personal. So someone might have a sense of their own spiritual practice on a run, say, or a bike ride, or walking by the ocean, or hiking in the forest, or climbing a mountain, or planting a garden. And they may feel a kinship with something bigger than themselves, outside themselves, uh, in a way that's different from being in a building, sitting on a bench with other people who believe the same thing. So that seems to be the primary difference that people bring to me. That spirituality is more personal. It's phenomenological, which means that it comes from direct personal experience in the world, and it's not dependent on community. Now, having said that, my goal is that if each person works on their own conscious evolution, we will then have a collective, a global community of conscious individuals. But that's not the same as us all meeting in the same building, believing the same things. There's a freedom and an expansiveness about spirituality that isn't always present in religion. Is that helpful?
Definitely, definitely. It's what you're saying has so many different levels, and it's so rich that I'm just processing that a little bit, and I so appreciate hearing it's one thing to read what you're saying, but it's another thing to actually hear, your words coming from you, and that's I feel very fortunate today to do this, and so what what we've talked a bit about before, and we talked on the last video. So, please go back and watch that last video if you didn't watch it, and it gives a different overview of the stuff we're talking about today. But in terms of in speaking of what you've written and and how you gift this your what you provide, how you gift that through your written works. So how do you incorporate? Tell us a little bit about that. I know it's pretty big. You've got such a wide range of different aspects of your work that how you teach and guide and support and hear people and so much more. But just tell us a little bit about how you apply this in your books.
Okay, well, the one book that I can refer to is it's called Another Spring, and it's a year of self-therapy and spiritual practices. So, self-therapy means that I really believe in giving people the tools and strategies for uh, it's all about empowerment. So the book is goes through an entire year, month by month, and each chapter opens with a letter from a client. Now, this is a composite letter, a letter from all of the people that I've served over all of the years. I've distilled 12 themes in their questions, and what themes have emerged over those years are written in these letters. So, for example, for January, um, this client writes, "Dear Miss Terry, I've lost my spirit and I don't know how to find it again." And that becomes the catalyst for January and all the strategies and invitations and journal reflections and rituals that I offer in chapter 1 for January. So each month has a different theme, and it offers people an opportunity to do their own work. And because it's spiritually integrated, of course, it's always considering your higher self's longing for what is best for you and your life circumstances. So asking spiritual questions, drawing on spiritual resources, I offer all of that. I should back up a little bit and say this whole approach in my practice and in my writing is Rogerian. So Carl Rogers, he's no longer with us, but he has greatly influenced my work. And Carl Rogers, I'm Rogerian. Carl Rogers believed that the greatest catalyst for change is in our relationship with each other. And if you feel that I'm genuine and that I'm authentic and that I truly care about you, that I'm congruent, that my actions match my speech, then your change process will be guided more authentically by me. And we can work more collaboratively if we have that congruency and that relationship with each other. So I'm just going to back up with that because it informs my writing, it informs my work, and our relationship is very important. So sometimes in the book, you're going to be invited to actually question some beliefs that you may have created or formed in your younger years, uh, core beliefs based on your religious upbringing. So I gently, very gently challenge you to look for um, what's underneath the dogma. So some religions will profess love, all inclusive love, and yet when you go deeper, which is your responsibility if you claim to be a member of a particular religion or church, to go deeper and have a look at what they really are putting out into the world. And if there's any intimation of a hate crime, then you have a right to question what you've been told. This is very difficult for some people when they discover that there's actually some hate crimes embedded in the religious dogma of the religion that they were raised in. So this is really hard work. It's tender work, it's careful work because there's a lot of spiritual fear. Sometimes it's easier just to hold on to what the rules that someone's given you or the truth that they've given you. And this work can be very it can be very challenging because there's a shift in values, there's a shift in core beliefs for healing. So um, I say that because I want to not pretend that this is all unicorns and rainbows and butterflies. It's difficult work to unpack core beliefs generally, what your parents may have taught you, what you need to unlearn, um, how you need to separate psychologically from those beliefs or the way you were raised. It's not easy work, but together we can do this. We can we can awaken, and I can welcome you into a community of those who are awakened. And as you're becoming conscious, we can build this community, this collective. And honestly, I believe we can change the planet. We can actually save the planet if we all, each of us, works on our own conscious evolution. So this is a little unorthodox, it's a little controversial, but it's beautiful healing if you're brave enough or courageous enough to join me in questioning just about everything.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, a certain amount of bravery. I hear what you're saying, and also that, as I think is mentioned on your part of one of your Terryisms is that all of this is that you're the soul guide in terms of working with people and bringing those beautiful pieces of Rogerian theory and practice through to kind of embrace that relational space. So also, it's such fantastic stuff. And your book, Terry, we're gonna talk more about all these pieces and another video session and some more video sessions. And but in the meantime, your book, where is your book available yet?
No,
Can we
no,
just
I'm
double check that?
submitting proposals to publishers worldwide. And what I'm discovering, I'm learning, is that takes years. I had no idea. I just thought,
Hmm.
oh, here I am here's a book, it's I'm being,
Yeah.
here's a
Yeah.
gift. And of course, you're going to publish it and you're going to make it available to all my people because they keep asking about it. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
They may not actually look at my book. So I started submitting proposals June of last year,
Okay.
July, around there, before I left for Greece.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm told that I may have to wait a year
Oh,
to hear back. And then that process just begins of
yeah.
editing, revision. And oh, I'm a little impatient, more impatient than I thought I was. I wanted I wanted to be able to
Well.
give it to people. So what I do, I cheated a little. I gave myself a deadline that if I didn't hear back from a traditional publisher, I'd go ahead and publish it myself.
Hmm.
Because I have enough people, I've a couple of hundred followers on my author page, and they're all wanting a couple of copies. So I'm thinking, well, why don't I make it available to my people? I run a Sophia Women's Wisdom group annually,
Hmm.
and I give them chapters to read
Hmm.
and give me feedback on, and they want the book.
Hmm.
So I think I may have to, yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my goal. If I don't hear
Okay.
back from a traditional publisher by, say, July of 2024, which is that year they say that I have to wait, I think I'm going to go ahead and publish it myself.
Hmm.
That's a big
Okay.
deal.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
saying it out loud here for the first time. So,
That's it. Well, it's these life challenges, right? To part of a different kind of growth, but it's a learning and a growing piece. And in the meantime, also on your website and particularly on Facebook, right? And we can put the Facebook link in as well with the video so that people can connect with you through your
thank you
Facebook
for that.
group. How does that sound?
That sounds
And
great. Yeah, because I actually posted one of my poems. I have a couple of anthologies of poetry,
Yeah.
and I experienced the loss of my mom last month, and it was a beautiful experience of what I call conscious grieving. It was beautiful, and she's with me every day. And I shared some poetry from my anthology of poetry called Soft Throat. And it was kind of scary to do that, but I did it. And the feedback was
Hmm.
lovely. So I write poetry. I wrote a manual for counselors, MA candidates who want to learn how to do spiritually integrated psychotherapy. And then I've written this book, Another Spring, as well as another couple of anthologies of poetry. So lots of writing to share. It's all empowerment, though. It's all writing
Hmm.
that empowers you to reconsider uh, your life circumstances, where you're at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And you've been through a bit of a difficult time again, as we've chatted a bit, and I'm so sorry about your loss, and and that you've channeled that into some poetry and different ways that we heal. So yeah, you're sharing again. You're putting that out to the world, and what fabulous gifts you have. And so this is this is our Tea for Terry session, and we're going to have a couple more of these sessions. And so, I mean, we can break off here a little bit, Terry, if you like,
Sure, yeah.
and revisit if there was anything else that feels a bit unfinished, or we can pick it up again next time, and that's we can really look forward to that. So you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back together again. But again, I have to say it's so weird to talk so much,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah, no, you've got so much fabulous stuff. Stuff, I
Uh,
call it stuff, the
yeah,
generic
yeah,
term
yeah,
to
yeah.
share. Well, thank you so much, Terry,
Oh,
for this. Yes,
thank you for having me,
into,
Roz,
thank
and
you.
making this
And
happen. You're very good at what you do. Yeah.
you're making it easy, so that really works for me. So you take care, and we'll talk next time. Thank you
Bye.
so much again. Bye bye.